how they say people come to a church for the preaching but they stay for the people? Well, that's what happened to me. So it was that the people and the relational side of it really that cemented me in, and yeah, I now live further away, but why would I want to change? Because this is my church family.
Just the connection, a group of people, surrounding myself with people in the church environment, which is pretty good. I feel comfortable being here.
I like how everyone is really connecting with you, and how there's lots of love here, and how you can easily talk to people and they'll want to have a conversation with you.
I love the fact that my kids are involved. The church has really worked on having the kids part of it and feeling welcome, and the programs I've got for them as well.
Meeting in different congregations as we've come together, I've enjoyed meeting new people. Enjoy the mix of age, from the littlies right through to the older ones.
I think what I most like is that it's like a family for us. For my family, it is our whānau. So you go to church and you feel like, actually, this is my brothers and sisters. These are my grandparents for my children. It's our family, and I love that.
Back in 2012, started conversations around where Nelson and districts was going, the three different congregations, and each one had its issues. We got together, representatives from each church, from a lot of heart-to-heart talking and a lot of prayer. Three of the parishes decided to shut down, and we became a new parish. The reason that we decided not to combine but to shut down is because we wanted that freedom to be someone new. So that means our ethos is new, how we do things is new, and it's been really funny because sometimes, how did St. whatever used to do whatever it was? No. What is it? What's it about us? What's the Whakatu way? There's a desire amongst many, and I think some people probably struggle with it, but there's a desire amongst many to not just stay where we were, but to try and go to where we think God is wooing us to go to. We haven't had Lone Ranger ideas. Often discernment has been in community. So we've had people together to think about and prayerfully be thinking about what's next, and God has shown us the next step. We realised that we needed to increase our capacity within the leadership. We spent a lot of time doing discerning of what do we think God's calling us to do, who we are, what are we going to do, how are we going to do it. And through that, part of that discernment was we need another minister.
I was called as associate minister with a major emphasis on local mission. And that plays out in a whole lot of ways, because I think we understood it as doing, like, preaching the gospel to the heathen, but that's actually not what local mission is. It's kind of building rapport with people. So a lot of my work has been around building a rapport within the church to build up trust with that group of people, but also building rapport and trust with people in our community. So my next door neighbours or my friends down the road that maybe don't feel comfortable in a church.
Well, actually it's been very good actually having two ministers, because the two ministers we've got are really quite different. Sage and John, in their approach to worship and in their sermon delivery, and that I think has been really good, especially having a younger person like Sage, because that has given a bit of emphasis on youth, because mainly we are an older congregation.
Our aim is to build a new building, but that's not the silver bullet. That's not what it's about. It's about us growing as people, growing in our relationship with God and growing with each other. And I like that because there's that desire within our community. We haven't got it all sorted, but we're on that journey.
Well, we want to be part of our community, be outward facing. We have a food bank which members of the church contribute to, and we get recommendations mainly through Plunket for families in need. We send food parcels quite regularly to different families.
Yeah, we have some things that I'm involved with too, with food parcels to go out to people in need in the community, and I think that's a really excellent thing to do, and I love being involved with that.
With our new development, we are hoping to sort of be part of our local community there on Champion Road. So one way that we've started that is by setting up a community food store, which is on our berm outside the property, and that's not just run by people within the church. It's actually just a place for anyone from the community to bring any extra food that they have. It has the twin benefits of avoiding food waste. So if you've got a glut of tomatoes or zucchinis or lemons or something, you can put food on the store, and also meeting a need in our community, because even though it's a middle class kind of community, there's still a lot of people who are just keeping their heads above water. In the future, we would like to develop that a little bit further. Once our new build is done, we have a place in mind for a community garden. So maybe have open sessions and teaching sessions on composting or sowing seeds or something like that.
On a Sunday evening, we run our youth group. Yeah, it's quite an open space for young people from within the community, not exclusively just our church community, to come and engage with God and to actually just have a healthy space.
I like the youth group and the gathering. We have like the older kids, we play games and we have a dinner together on the Sunday night.
I think a lot of people have said the same thing. It's having connection is just so important. And a lot of people out there don't have a lot of connection, and if we can be part of that connection, I think that's a really health-giving thing. It's healing for people.
Some of my dreams are that we be a church that is gathered around the table. There's many nuances. Obviously, there's Holy Communion, gathered around the table to celebrate communion, the Last Supper, to remember Christ and what He did for us. But also to gather around the table and to be able to chew the fat and talk and chat. Because the table's often safe. You can talk about things that are a little bit difficult to talk about. On a Sunday morning, if you're looking at someone's head from a pew, you can't do that, because you're looking up the front and then you can skedoodle straight away. But if we've got making space for people to gather around the table and to talk and have time, hopefully there's that haven, that safe haven that we can create. So one of the things you would see in the photos of Nelson is that Nelson is known as the Haven. That's another name for it, the Haven. And so one of our dreams early on in our discussions is that we would like our parish to be a safe haven, a haven. We'd even thought about calling the church the Haven, because we want it to be a safe haven, somewhere safe for people that have been hurt, people that Christ was looking towards to help. We want to be able to help those people in our community. So those who have been hurt by other churches and those who have been hurt by just life and society, a safe haven. We think it's really important. And a safe place for us to grow. We don't want to be a church where you all agree with each other. It's safe to disagree, and hopefully we learn and grow, with each other.
There seems to be this thing where we preach on a Sunday, we go to church, and maybe we go to a home group, but probably not. And that is discipleship. But actually, when we look at Scripture and look at how Jesus and even the disciples did discipleship, it was all-encompassing. Like, you walked behind Jesus. I like what Rob Bell says when he says that when you followed a rabbi, you got the dust of the rabbi from his feet on you, which is intriguing because it means you're following quite closely and just watching everything that Jesus did. And so then we have to assume, well, if that's what discipleship is, then are we doing that as both disciplers but also as disciples of Jesus? Do we follow in the rabbi's footsteps and get the dust on us and learn that way? And are we allowing others to intrude on our lives and get the dust of what we've already got from Jesus on them as well?
We want to be a Christ a Jesus Christ centered parish, and not an egocentric Christianity, and not a me-centered Christianity where it's all about what I can get out of God or out of church. It's how can we be Christ-centered, because hopefully that makes us better people towards each other, and having better friendships with God. Relationships upwards, relationships sideways. So that's with ourselves in our Whakatu community, and in the community that we live in, and wider hopefully as well. That's the goal, and we're learning and we're growing and we make mistakes. Ego gets in the road, but we are trying to be Christ-centric. And so I quite like the idea of the waka that we get into is Christ. That's who we're aligning with, that's who is our centre, that's who is our strength. It's not like tia kaha, let's be strong. I think that's overrated. I think, no, don't worry about being strong. Be in Christ. Be in the waka Christ. Be in Christ. That's part of our ethos.
My hoodie, so it says seek discomfort on it, and I quite like that motto because it tells you to go out of your comfort zone and do new challenges and explore things that you wouldn't normally do.
The hardest thing is, and I think others have noticed this, is introducing change, because people want to see results before they see change. So they want to see proven that if we change this, there'll be good results. But you can't do that because every setting is different. And so I think the biggest challenge I have is bringing people on the journey to change, because we want to go to the good old days, but they don't exist anymore, and it's really hard for people. I don't know, we just haven't quite worked out what it looks like in this brave new world.
If you've been part of a church for a long time, then you know your folk quite well, and then suddenly you're putting three together, you're getting to know strangers. But I think we're slowly getting there, and it's the challenges of also building a new church and starting in a different community.
No one's got it exactly the way that they would like it. Everybody's had to compromise a little bit and change the way they do worship, the way their different programs and things run, maybe pastoral care or food banks or birthdays, how they're celebrated, all sorts of things that everybody's had to sort of mix and mingle. And
it's not an easy thing. It's a real big tension, because you don't want to lose the goodness of what you have, but you want to also move on to the thing you want to become.
How do you get a whole bunch of people to agree on change? That's always a hard one, the old change. I don't like change personally, it's not something I relish, but it happens all the time and it's necessary, and that whole working together through the process of change is challenging, but it's also really rewarding.
So the congregation is quite old, so for young people it can be quite hard to connect sometimes.
We've got a lot of people with a lot of energy, but we've got a lot of people who've had a lot of energy and who are now tiring. So it's encouraging some of the younger members of our congregation to step up and be involved in some of those things as well.
But it has been quite cool. We're actually growing in that space as we're getting more young people coming into this environment. We're having more music that we can connect with. We're having groups where we can, outside of church, actually discuss God and actually connect in that way, build relationship.
Part of it was exploring what do we do that is life-giving, and what are we doing that's actually draining a whole lot of life but isn't contributing in a life-giving way, and what should we do about that? How do we remedy that so what we are doing is life-giving? So that's quite hard, because people find it really hard to be told or to look at things that they've always done but maybe aren't as life-giving as what we think it is.
People have shown a lot of grace and patience in this transition period, because we're still in a transition period until we have our new build. It's a transition period of years, which is frustrating for people, but I think, it's great that people have hung in there. Some people have left, naturally enough, because they didn't have the same vision for the direction we're going, or wanted things a bit more comfortable, settled or something, but a lot of people have hung in there, which is really good.
In terms of the discernment process, I think what I noticed is that people were already thinking about what it looks like to do local mission before I arrived. So I wasn't coming in and going, I'm the answer, but people were saying, actually, we know that we need to look at doing local mission, and in a lot of ways explore what it means, and I think this is really important, what it means to do discipleship, because I think we think we've been doing it, but in actual fact when you look at our churches it doesn't suggest that in the makeup of them. So part of that was bringing in somebody, not to tell them how to do it, but to learn with them and help them look at doing discipleship and do mission within the local community.
Feeling of responsibility that you better get it right, and hearing is that what God's saying is always, I think, hard. Yeah. But to be involved, I remember thinking, boy, if I've been placed here for such a time as this to be part of this, then that's pretty amazing. Bring it on.
It was very time consuming, actually trying to find for us the pathway that we felt God was wanting us to go on. Personally, I enjoyed actually part of the process where we got to know better the three former congregations.
So we, I think, in Whakatu Presbyterian have been very fortunate to be blessed by Alpine Presbytery. They've helped us. There's been things like helping us with, right early on actually, they've helped us with people from Presbytery, helping us think things through, being objective to our subjectivity, pushing, making us think and guiding, just reminding us of things that are available, resources that are available. And so they've helped us processing things like Presco funding and also Alpine Mission funding, and that's been good. It's been helpful. We wouldn't have been able to do what we're doing if it wasn't for that.
I guess the thing I would want to say is I would want to commend what Whakatu has done by taking this risk, because although there's been a huge financial contribution from both Alpine Mission Fund and Presco, Whakatu has contributed financially and taken a huge risk doing this, because it's not easy and it might not do what they intended it to do. And that's okay, and they're okay with that, which is an amazing thing to do, is go, we're okay to fail. And I don't know if we are failing, but they are open to failure to try and do what God has called them to, and that's really cool.